Morning. Right, snow scene. I did this one yesterday. I hope you can see it. I called it, what did I call it? Snow on the Heath. So I'm going to do something like it. I'll get a nice bright sky. I'm using 3 primaries and a burnt sienna and white, of course. No black on this one. See if we can get away with just the blue, the cadmium red and the yellow to give me my dark. Right, now this is on a piece of Fabriano, it doesn't matter, but don't throw your watercolours away if you painted on both sides. Don't waste the paper. Use oil or acrylic to go over them. You can prime them with the colour, as I have, with a bit of burnt umber or whatever colour you fancy. The reason we do this is to kill the white, because whatever you put on white will always look too dark because of the contrast, and you tend to overcompensate and produce a picture that's much too light. So that's why we do a colour, but also you can leave some of this showing through. This is a cheap acrylic, burnt umber. It might be the winter Newton might be slightly different, more red, but it doesn't really matter as long as it's a mid tone and you can paint either side of it. So whatever you put on is more likely to be the correct tonal value. So I'm going to put in. I want to do the sky first. I think get a nice light, bright sky. So I've got a bit of PVA glue in this. It's my malt beer kit lid. I've got loads of them. They're very, very useful. And using acrylic, when it all dries, you can prise it off, and it'll come off as a plastic sheet. That's all what acrylic paint is. It's plastic, not. This one I've just taken off. I use this black ink for the line and wash. Look, and it's like this. That's half of the lid. And it's got some ordinary PVA diluted glue in it as well. Look, it's plastic. That's what we're painting with. You can paint in oil over this, and you can paint straight onto the paper as well. But I've coated both sides of this with the PVA glue, this side with the primer, so that the paper is nice and flat at the moment, and it should be more or less sealed and waterproof. Okay, so we'll start with a nice bright colour, sky, yellow, red, bit of white, bit of acrylic. So just get it in. Fairly low horizon. I wouldn't say third up, but something like that. I'm holding the brush like this rather than a pen because my wrists hurt. Nothing to do with painting, it has to do with carpet fitting, which was my business for over 40 years. But alas, I can't do it now. Do miss it. Miss going out and meeting people, getting paid. I've seen all sorts of paintings on my travels. I worked on the finest homes in London. I've seen Picasso's, Lowry's, Courbet, Jericho. Been lovely. Right, let's just strengthen up that colour. I want to do most of this as a primary. Don't want neat white, I want some colour in it. And what you do at the top, put in down the bottom, because the snow will reflect the sky. There are many more paintings exclusive to Patreon, which you can see for about £1 a week. I've got about 120 on Patreon now. It's a crowdfunding site. It helps to pay for the materials. So I hope you'll give it a look. It's free to put the page. You don't have to pay anything to see the homepage. Go on and have a look and see what it's all about. The link will be on the description of the video. Usually put the Facebook link as well, because everything I paint, whether it's on YouTube or Patreon, I put on YouTube, my art page. Dave Usher, not David, Dave Usher. Just building up a bit of an impasto. I was going to make a bit of gesso out of some plaster, but I forgot. And I haven't got a lot of time this morning. Okay. Alright, just clean that brush. Make sure you clean your brushes when you're using acrylic, because it dries ferociously fast. And I have a lot of cloth handy. Oh, I know what I'm going to do. I have to cover my knees with an apron. I've got a smock on because I'm very careless with my paint, and sleeves get dragged onto the palette. So I just put that on my knees, so my arms, all my clothing is protected, because it's a devil's own job trying to get acrylic off once it's dried. Right, I've got a big pot of water there. Right, it's a beautiful day in London, but we're waiting for a storm. The north of England and Scotland are taking a bit of a pasting now, getting some real Arctic weather up there. So that's why I'm painting sky. Oh, it's sky, snow. I'm going to put in a bit of distant trees on there, but whatever you put on, you can change. Because that's the great thing about acrylic, it dries so quickly that you can go over it very quick and change, just build up. With watercolour you've got to be a bit more definite, because once you're committed. Look, see how dark that is. I'm not sure how much sienna I'll use, but I will use some of them. It's just going up over the hill there. If you haven't tried acrylic, you're an oil painter, go to nothing there. I would recommend you get some. Most of mine are cheap acrylic. Store own brand, Wilkinson's. But it's such fun. Just modelling with the paint and changing and trying to produce impressionist type of pictures. As you know, I've never been one for photorealism. It's that argument of craft or art. Both are valid. Of course, it's a very skilled job doing. Copying, exactly, it's a art form all of its own. And my mate Smoothie77 is an expert at drawing. Would recommend you look at his channel. Not what I do, but he's just so brilliant at it. I'm pleased to tell you about him, if you don't already know. Okay, so we've got something going on there. Let's put a bit of cloud in here. See, that's dry now, and that will take a bit of dry brush. You can plaster the thick stuff on later. Just work your way around your paper till you find a way to go. Right, let's colour up the sky a bit more now. Right. But as you see, acrylics take a bit longer to do than watercolours, and you throw away more paint than you actually use. I'd like to show you my palette, but it's tricky to set up on this boom. But I've got a piece of greaseproof paper. I bought a roll of ready cut, 24 cut pieces of this oven paper, and oil. Nothing sticks to it. That's why I use it in catering. It's marvellous stuff, and you can just fold it up and throw it away. Right, let's have a bit of yellow, bit of orangey colour there. Get that down across the sky. Somebody said my sky was too busy, but I don't care. I like busy skies. Just slightly off white here, because I'm merging into those trees as they go off into the distance. It's all lost and found. Soft, impressionist. Cloud billowing up here. The thing is, copy what I do. If you think it's worth copying, have a go. I don't mind. You will develop your own style anyway, the more you do. I don't paint like anybody else other than Dave Usher. I used to paint like Edward Seago. I mean, Edward Weston. But after a few years, lo and behold, my way of doing things emerged. So we just go over that. I would recommend you have a look at, go on Google for Arthur Maddison. He's an Irish painter. He's my age. That is, ha. Just drag over that. Let's have a bit of darker stuff over the top now. Mixing a bit of glue. You wouldn't think that PVA glue would be a medium, but it's plastic. Stuff you stick your chair legs back together with. Red and black, red and blue, and a bit of white. Give you a nice, rich, dark look. Oh, there's a bit of red in there. Don't want it too dark, but I'm going to leave that alone and then sort of dry brush my lighter clouds over it. But I want to go back onto the landscape now. Right, I'm using these cheap Chinese brushes. I've had them years, but now you can't find them very easily. They've reduced the number of bristles in the things. They were cheap and they're very good. Once they stopped losing the hairs, they were magnificent. Right, let's get in a bit of snow, but off-white. Remember, it's light against dark. If your tones are too close together, the different colours, you will find that it won't look as light as you want. But you don't make it lighter by adding more white. You make it lighter by adding more dark. So I'm just using a bit of yellow, a bit of red, just where that reflecting the sky, just all distinct. I'm putting a bank here. Also, I used the largest brush possible. Now these are inch flats. Don't use a lot of orange. I've got orange, but I find you can mix the orange with the yellow and the red. Okay, we can add shadows on this as well. I'll be going back over this, and it's sort of a path coming up here. Have a bit of shadow in there. I'll detail that later. Right, let's start to put in that bank on the right hand side. Okay, so we'll use a bit of yellow, a bit of blue, nice bit of green, and a bit of sienna in there. Oh, so it's overwhelmed it anyway. Doesn't matter. Let's just push these in. So I've got two easels on the go. I've got my Frank Herring metal telescopic easel. This can be anything here for the moment. I'm going to go over this. Just a bit of a bank coming down here with a tree sticking out of it. Okay, now we want a nice hedgerowy type of warm colours. So with watercolour, you need a decent rough paper really to get the dry brush. The sparkle is what you leave out that is important with watercolour. Here we're putting everything in. And we're just going into that distance. We're putting a little slightly bluer. And then we'll put some furrows in. Just coming over there, going around the corner there. Okay. Let's get some more darks in there. More shadowy dark in there. Okay. I might even put a fence going up there, the lighter colour. Right, let's go back into this wilderness here. I'm not going to put pines and stuff in, right? Just going over the hill. Okay, change the brush. See, what I've done is to darken this. I'm going to put it a bit more dark, some blue and some sienna, I think. Don't even know if I want to use that sienna, but I want to get this dark bit in here, this shadowy stuff at the base, so I can counter change the white or the coloured lights for the snow. Arthur Maddison paints highly impressionist. He used to do lots of small dots and beautiful webs of colour, but I think I got fed up with it in the end, and his brush strokes got larger and larger and larger. A bit like Vermeer. I think he got fed up with his painting all the bricks of these lovely Delft houses, that he stuccoed them and just showed a few bricks, and I don't blame him. Right, let's go in with a bit of red, bit of yellow, and a lump of white. Coming along here. Soften everything. That's the key. I've got yellow in that sky, so we want some yellow, a bit like water in there. But however you can get the effect you want. Soft, 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 soft. Right. A touch of blue in the snow, in this sort of packing in under the bushes there. See where you can overdo it. I'm going to put some more darks back in there. And it's blue snow in the shadows. Look, come into the light. A bit too dark there. Right, now I'm going to go to a smaller brush now, my new one, but even here's about I've sprayed. Okay, so I want some dark rich green, so blue, a touch of red, and a lump of yellow, and you'll get a nice warm green. Now after was a great one for whacking bits of red in against the greens. If it's too obvious, you can just go back over a little bit of it, just to show those little bits of berries or some whatever. Okay. I'm going to put darker blue there. Just ultramarine blue, that's all it is. Because this would be in shadow. The light is coming from here. I can do a bit more on the furrows. Just a slightly mauvey grey for the and then we can counter change some lights against that. Right, I want to go back over that sky now, do a bit there. I hope the light is okay. I've got I'm under a north facing 4 foot by 3 foot window, or 5 foot by 3 foot window. North facing. Right, I'll put the lights on, I think. Replace my apron. There's no rush when doing these. You can always go and make a cup of tea, can't you, on pause and come back and fast forward for the bits you don't like. Right, there I am. Okay, so let's get in some of this lovely light, warm colours for the cloud. Put one more red. Just break up those flat bits of dark. Well, that's what I'm doing anyway. But I want these just catching some light from the sun from somewhere. Just dragging over it. Right, let's just get a bit more grey back in to the clouds now. Make your clouds of silver, not of lead. I think Turner might have said that. That's too white. So as the one above it, I want light, but I don't want white. So just cad yellow and cad red. Okay, coming on. Just work away till you've got something that you're pleased with. Well, pleased for a moment anyway. We've got a nice impasto to work on now for dry brushing. Maybe we could just make one of these just a bit bigger than the rest. Let's put that one in. We'll see how to do abstract skies. Go and look at Jackie Gardner on Facebook. Scottish painter. I love what she does. Not all of it. I love some of it. Right, let's just get more grey again in here. Okay, I quite like that. Right, let's start putting a tree in now. Now for that, I'm going to use this worn out 1/2 inch brush, and I'm just going to use my blue and my red and put it here. Just drag it in. I don't want anything graphic. Just put the colours in, and we can make a very colourful trunk. I mean, this is a real clumsy brush, but just catching the high spots. Right, get some dark on the outside of it, and then I may feel a bit clumsy. I am, look at that. So let's put that kind of up here. I can put light on that now. A bit of white, a bit of blue. Bit of snow. Go back into the darks. Doesn't matter if you think it doesn't look right. We're creating an impression here. So put some pile of snow here. Then we can put a nice bit of light snow back. Catching the light here a little bit. Right, for that to show, I need to put in the darks. Some darks in here, some nice colour. Just a bit more dark. No rigour. Don't resort to these small brushes. Use what brushes you've got. A bit of red in there. Bit of green. Complement the red. Right, so now some bright orange. Catching that light again. Right, some more darks in there. Clean the brush of the light stuff, get the red and the blue. And just get that in. Loads of shadowy colours in there. And then we just that's a bit too dark there. But that's okay because we can go over that. I want that blue snow. And the shadow. Okay, now we want some lighter snow. Just catching a bit of that light now. Oh, just going over those darker bits. Now we want a nice big wedge of snow up there. Just the red, the yellow and the orange and the white. I might attempt a figure. What does that look like? That blue shows up on the camera quite well. So, going to do a bit more. That old Christmas carol, snow on snow on snow. bit of blue on there, I think. Now, that's a touch of red in there. Red in there. Put in some leaves. All suggestions. I just want to get a bit of dark on that trunk, on the inside of that trunk there. Catching a little bit of light, but yellowy. I'll make that a little darker, even more dark up there. So I'll mix a bit of yellow with it. Mix the 3 primaries and you should get a nice dark. Don't think we'll get much better than that. That's a little bit awkward there. Rid of that. Oh, we'll get that with a bit of blue and red. Just connect it a little bit. Leave the air in. Okay, now we can put a bit of snow, a bit of shadowy snow. Nearly finished, I can't do much more of that. No, that's not really worked, has it? So we take it out. Just paint over it. Just a little bit of red in there. Touch of yellow. So a bit of warm. Okay, what else I could do? Shall I try and put a figure in? Shall we attempt a figure? No. The light's coming this way, so it's hitting there, so we wouldn't see too much of a shadow. I'll put shadowy snow in along there. So let's make a red figure. Put him with a bit of a bit shaky, yeah? Let's have him catching a bit of light. Okay, that'll do. Let's give him a little bit of shadow. I can put some footprints in. So we'll get a little bit of a bit of shadow. Light coming that way, so let's just. Right, here, dude. Right, I think my tree's a little bit of a mess, but maybe I could work it out with this inch brush. Well, you can do that forever, can't you? No, I'm not too unhappy with that. Put a signature on it, and what I'll do is I'll take some of the masking tape off. Put a little bird in. You can see with a border around it, with a white border. Let's just be careful how you do this. You don't want to rip your paper. It does happen. So pull it slightly away from the painting. Oh, you don't see a white border, will you? You see a triangle border. I don't think I can show it with the mount because I can't get far enough away with the camera. But I'll whoops, yeah. Got glue all in my nice rag. I don't want that to dry because that'll go for another day. Save your rags. Right, let's just take a bit of this off. Leave a bit of it on. Right, I'm just going to put some other little bits of colour in my man because it's just not. It's the rest of it is impressionist. But he ain't. So I want to rough him up a little bit. Put a bit of light on his catching his clothes. Just the red, the yellow. Right, he's rough enough now. I can put a bit of shadow, I think, on his. Careful how to do this. Okay, that'll do. I'll see if I can just alter the camera. I've got a mount that would fit that. All right, put it on there. Make sure my hands are clean because the mount is quite clean. Well, there we are. Clip it. Well, there we are. There's my snow scene. I could put a little bit of shadow along there, so I think I'll do that. Just a little, just to break that monotony of that field. Clean the brush bar. Get all the water out of the ferrule. So you find that water will, if you stick it in a pot of water for any length of time, it will fill up with water. So I'll shake it on my old rug. Okay, so a little bit of shadow. might have the effect of making that snow look a little bit whiter. Right, I'm tempted just to put in a little bit of the original colour, because if I do any painting this afternoon, it'll probably be a watercolour. That's just give an impression. Okay, I don't think I can do any more to it than that. It's entirely made up, based on one I did yesterday. I prefer the watercolour, but you never know. I will varnish. I'll dry that off and varnish it, and then I'll take a photograph of it. You can see it on Facebook, the finish. I'm not going to do any more calligraphy in there. That is it. Anyway, thanks for watching, folks. Bye bye.